Welcome to this week's OK at Work with myself, Sarah Sawyer, my colleague Russell Berger, attorneys at Offit Kurman. And today we are talking about selling your business or buying a business. So asset purchase agreements, stock purchase agreements are kind of the main vessels there as far as the roadmap of how to sell your business or buy a business. And usually before that, there's a letter of intent between the parties that kind of lays out the deal terms. I know when these transactions happen, at least in my experience, people are really excited to get moving. A lot goes into even thinking about selling your business or thinking about buying or, an acquisition. So people are always kind of ready to go and wanting to get the legal paperwork just done and out of the way. What are some things people should consider as it relates to those types of documents and that process, Russell?
Yeah, well, just as a starting point, you got to have a poker face. It's the same conversation my wife and I had like when we're house shopping. Don't let anybody know that we really want this house. We gotta play it close to the vest because otherwise someone might try to take advantage of us. Because it does happen in deals. It happens, in all sorts of business contexts, and so I think it just as a starting point. Yeah, you can be excited, you can be engaged, and you can certainly send those signals. But the engagement should be towards a good deal, a fair deal, not towards any deal. And as you were saying, parties on the other side may leverage that excitement against you, or yeah, we've come this far, and I'm not willing to walk away, so I'm just going to sign whatever. If the other side knows that, they're going to squeeze on certain terms, and they're going to get a better deal, and you're going to get a worse deal as a result. So I think that just as a starting point, it's just important to stay patient, stay calm, and there will be a grind. And if you can hang in there through the grind, you're going to end up in a better posture.
Yeah, and it kind of it's going through the documents themselves. A lot of times you're starting with, as I mentioned, a letter of intent. And at that stage is kind of the part that goes a little bit quicker because those are shorter documents and they're kind of getting those high level terms. And while they're not necessarily binding, because they're usually contingent on a asset purchase agreement or a stock purchase agreement that comes after the fact, after you lay out those high level terms. Depends on the way you structure the letter of intent and kind of what it looks like. But want to make sure you give some thought to the details there. That's where I often see people moving quickly, kind of showing their hand a little bit too much, as you mentioned, or just wanting to get that on paper so that they can get moving. And sometimes that can just lead in some false starting and stopping too, where if you're not paying enough attention to details at that level, or getting an attorney involved to make sure that you're considering the contingencies you might need or some of the different things around liability, like if you're the seller, for instance, and you've got multiple partners, they're going to be joint and several liabilities and different things like that, that some of the nuanced factors that could really stop a deal dead in the water after the LOI phase. And you don't really want people spending a lot of time and money just kind of churning your wheels. And then that can lead to, bad blood between the parties if all of a sudden we get past the LOI stage and things are not what they seemed at first. So really, as exciting as it can be to be moving forward, and there's different reasons people might want to move quickly, there's definitely a lot of sticky things that can happen if you don't pay attention to some of those details and get an attorney involved at that stage. And then it gets even stickier once you get to the purchase agreement stage, where those documents can be pretty lengthy, and a lot of times clients glaze over, but that's the roadmap. So you want to make sure you're paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, I think the mindset's got to be, I'm optimistic, I'm excited, I'm willing to make a deal. I'm even willing to make some compromises, but it's still got to be the right deal for me. And I'm not willing to just, give away my business or give away my money and take a lousy deal just because I'm desperate to do something. I think you got to stick to that. I'm excited to do a good deal, and I'm optimistic about a good deal, not just any deal.
And in closing, I just kind of, would say also that the terms that people discuss, because obviously a lot of discussions happen. And one thing to always keep in mind is when you're putting these things into place and moving forward with the deal is just because it was said between the parties and a handshake happened, doesn't mean those terms are going to actually stick until you actually go through this process. So something to keep in mind as well, and why this process is important and why making sure that those details, the devil's in the details, right? So making sure that the details as things continue are a good deal on paper also, just like when you were speaking about them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You can't be afraid to grind through the documents. And ideally, that process goes quick, but that's not often the case. So don't be, you're gonna have to roll up your sleeves and grind through it, and that's okay. That's how the process works.
Well, thanks, Russell, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Sarah.